Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. With so much focus on the Carolinas and the year 61, I want to go back and I want to review the Goldsboro incident of January 24th, 1961. That's where a B 52 bomber in the U.S. Air Force broke apart in midair while carrying two nuclear warheads, supposedly, and crashed in North Carolina. It said it's a miracle that the bombs didn't detonate, and had they detonated, it could have caused a major catastrophe on the eastern seaboard. Let's watch some news coverage on this incident. It was a declassified piece of information, and the information broke in the mainstream media September 20th, 2013, not long ago. And it was Eric Schlosser, the author, best known for his book Fast Food Nation, who put out the information. So let's go back to September 20th, 2013 and watch the news.
A newly disclosed document reveals a U.S. hydrogen bomb almost detonated near Goldsboro, North Carolina back in 1961. And according to a new book by the author Eric Schlosser, Command and Control, that near miss is not an isolated event. In fact, far from it.
The Pentagon has issued an official list of broken arrows, of serious weapon accidents that could threaten the public. And there are 32 accidents on that list. I found that 32 is actually a small fraction of the number of accidents that occurred. One document that I obtained from the Sandia National Laboratory, which is one of our big weapons laboratories, listed 1,200 nuclear weapons involved in accidents or incidents that threatened the safety between 1950 and 1968.
1,200?
1,200. Now, some of them were relatively trivial, but there were nuclear weapons accidents that weren't as dramatic as a plane crash or a missile exploding, that were actually very dangerous.
What is the closest we've come in the last 60 years to a major disaster?
In 1961, in January, there was a B-52 bomber that started leaking fuel. While it was preparing the emergency landing, there was a weight imbalance, and the plane started to break apart midair. There were two hydrogen bombs on the plane, and as the plane was breaking apart midair, there were so many wires that if one of those wires had crossed with the arming wire of the bomb, there would have been a full-scale detonation of this hydrogen bomb in North Carolina. There would have been huge firestorms, and the lethal radioactive fallout could have extended as far north as Washington, D.C.
You're not just documenting in your book close calls in the past.
Yeah.
You are saying this is also a problem that continues to confront us presently.
The Defense Science Board issued a report just this year saying that our nuclear command and control system might be vulnerable to being hacked.
Even if the United States gets its act together in terms of command and control, there's a world out there which doesn't adhere to the same standards.
Absolutely. And I think that the greatest threat that we faced in a short-term sense in the world is the use of a nuclear weapon. Our controls and our systems are superior to that of any other nation. But when you look at the long list of accidents and near misses that we've had, despite our expertise, it gives you an enormous pause about other countries like Pakistan, India, North Korea having nuclear weapons.
And you can see our full interview with Eric Schlosser on our website, cbsnews.com.
All right, Truth Seeker. So that was the first news clip we're going to watch. Looking at this more carefully, if you follow my work, we've been talking about 61 a lot lately. Right now, there's a major Confederate flag debate. The Confederate flag has been flying since 1961, the 100-year anniversary of the beginning of the Civil War, which was 1861. The location where the plane nearly crashed was called Goldsboro. And what's interesting about Goldsboro is its gematria 44. We call this the kill number. The word kill in simple English gematria sums to 44. Also, think about this. Obama was born in 61. He's the 44th president. Around the same time this story was released, Lindsey Graham was saying that a nuclear bomb could go off in Charleston or New York Harbor back in fall 2013. We'll talk more about that. The date, though, of this incident, January 24th, 1961, has numerology of 86. And if you're not aware, the bombing of Hiroshima happened on August 6th, 1945, a date with 33 numerology. The incident in Goldsboro was referred to as the Goldsboro incident, which has a gematria of 86 as well, just like the numerology of the date it happened on. Of course, the number 86 is important. Symbol, triangle, pyramid all have gematria of 86. And a very symbolic bombing in Hiroshima that many of us have seen several times over on television and elsewhere in our lives. All right, let's watch this other coverage of the Goldsboro incident. This one's a little more dramatic. Check it out.
In 1961, declassified documents released this week have revealed that a multi-megaton bomb was armed when it crashed to the ground following an air accident over North Carolina in 1961. A B-52 bomber carrying two Mark 39 hydrogen bombs broke in half over the small town of Goldsboro, North Carolina, on the night of January the 24th, 1961. According to the documents, the B-52 suffered a failure of the right wing. As the plane broke apart, the two nuclear bombs plummeted toward the ground. The first bomb landed with its parachute open, but didn't explode because the safing pins that gave power from the generator to the weapon had been accidentally removed during landing, effectively shutting down the bomb. The second bomb free fell to the ground and was put into the armed position upon impact. However, one of the secondary sub-assemblies that contained a significant amount of highly enriched uranium was lost, thus the bomb did not detonate. The two bombs had an explosive yield of 3.8 megatons that would emit thermal radiation over a 15-mile radius. Had the device detonated, lethal fallout could have been deposited over Washington, Baltimore, Philadelphia, and as far north as New York City. The bombs that fell on Hiroshima and Nagasaki had explosive yields of 0.01 and 0.02 megatons respectively. The blasts from the Mark 39 bombs would have been 260 times more powerful than the weapons that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. There are at least 21 declassified accounts between 1950 and 1968 of aircraft-related incidents in which nuclear weapons were lost, accidentally dropped, or jettisoned for safety reasons on board planes that crashed in various US states and other countries.
All right, so a little more dramatic there. All right, so we covered what's curious in terms of numerology and gematria about the date of this incident, what it's called, and how it connects to Hiroshima. It also has connections to the present because it happened in 61 and there's all this 61 focus right now. If you haven't seen my other videos on what's going on in the world, Philadelphia train crash, Charleston church shooting, Walter Scott shooting, these numbers have been present in all these major stories. And as we just heard in that video, he said that the bomb fallout could have affected Philadelphia, Baltimore, New York, these same stories that we're hearing much about. In history, a movie was released on March 20th, 1983. March 20th is now the anniversary date of the beginning of the Iraq War. It began 555 days after September 11th, 555. This movie is about a bomb going off in Charleston Harbor. In the movie, it's an H-bomb. It just as well could have been a nuclear bomb. It's a terrorist negotiation movie shot through the eyes of a mainstream media newswork called RBS. Think about that. That is the perfect acronym for the mainstream media. RBS. Anyhow, in this movie, it shows the bomb detonated in Charleston Harbor, wiping out the city. And the numerology of the release date of this film, 3/20/83, if you add it together, sums to 106. In the recent Charleston church shooting, there was a fire truck parked out in front of the church. It was number 106, and it was flying a Tea Party flag. Tea Party also has gematria of 106. And then lo and behold, you find out that this movie there about a bomb going off in the city came out on a date with 106 numerology. And the word nuclear bomb itself sums to 106. It just makes you wonder if this is what they're trying to foreshadow with their constant reporting and coding of numbers. In the Philadelphia train crash, the train was going 106 miles per hour. The front engine car was number 601, the reverse of 106. Also, Truth Seeker, with regards to Charleston, where this movie's set, where so much focus is right now because of what's happening in the world, at least as reported in the media, check this out. Nuclear bomb, Pythagorean gematria. Up here's simple English. This is Pythagorean. Pythagorean, it's 43. Just like Charleston, just like massacre, just like Civil War. The Civil War began in Charleston. And with regards to the recent church shooting, the shooters born on April 3rd, 4-3. 4-3. Also, Truth Seeker, take a peek right here. Notice how nuclear bomb in Jewish gematria sums to 433. In recent history in the United States, there was the largest drill ever conducted to date anywhere in the world, simulating a nuclear blast in an urban environment. That drill was called Top Off 4. It happened in October 2007. Notice that the gematria of Top Off is 33. 33. This drill is called Top Off 4. So in a way, 33-4, which is a complete reflection of nuclear bomb 433. And this drill, again, is the largest ever practiced to date, simulating a nuclear bomb going off in an urban environment. This drill has been practiced. It happened in 2007. It took place in Oregon, the 33rd state, Phoenix, the 33rd parallel, and on Guam, which is the 144th meridian. Happened in all three of those places simultaneously. Oregon is the 33rd state. It is the only with a gematria of 74. Of the 50 states, only Oregon sums to 74 with simple English. Notice that the words nuclear, weapon, and energy all have gematria of 74. Very important numbers coded into these words that we use. Connecting with Oregon, where this drill was held. Also, it took place in October, which is the only month with 33 gematria. A lot of 33 coded on this. Should be noted, True Seeker, I'm of the camp that is suspicious if nuclear weapons are even real or if they are part of the psychological fear programming that we're all subjected to. True Seeker, when I started this blog, this written blog, before I had a video channel, I did not know how to do gematria. I didn't know how to, decode words into numbers. I didn't even realize it was a real thing. But way before I knew how to decode words, I saw how fake the media was. I've been convinced the media is fake since September 11th, 2001. I thought that day was so hoaxy. It just looked, everything about it looked fake. The media every channel had bullet points ready to go. War on America, war on America. It was like, it was almost like watching a movie. And I couldn't believe that anyone was duped by September 11th. But anyhow, ever since that day, my flag has been up on alert. And I have been looking for the next major hoax that they will wage against us. And they have already waged many hoaxes against us since. But I think there will be an event that is even much greater than September 11th and perhaps has much greater of an impact on us. I've even theorized that maybe they'll black out a part of the country for a portion of time. Kind of like a bigger Hurricane Katrina. Remember that? Katrina, 4 years after 9/11, September 2005. Anyhow, in doing this research, I've noticed that there's a lot being foreshadowed going wrong in the Carolinas. There's been books put out, even authored by former politicians such as Byron Dorgan and Newt Gingrich. There's been movies made. There's been TV shows such as NBC's Revolution, What all this fiction has in common is something major going on in the Carolinas and then it causing a national emergency. What's interesting is how now, doing this research, so much is connecting back to the Carolinas, and I've traced a lot of this to Freemasonry. It should be noted that the original Freemason Lodge was built just outside of Charleston, South Carolina, the Carolinas. Some of the earliest settlements in the nation's history. Cowpens Battlefield is there, where we're said to have defeated the British Army, winning the Revolutionary War. Essentially, that was the major turning point. So lots of history in that Carolina region, lots being foreshadowed there right now. As we said in the beginning of the video, in 2013, they declassified the story about nuclear bombs almost going off in the Carolinas. Also, at that same time, fall 2013, if you can remember, the United States was beating the war drum very hard to go to war with Syria. And it seemed like we were going as a nation. John Kerry was speaking out on it. Obama was speaking out on it. Lots of people speaking out. Then all of a sudden, in unprecedented fashion, we backed off and we turned away. At that moment, I said, oh, I see what they're doing here. They're setting us up for future failure. And now, ever since that date, we've gotten the narrative of ISIS and ISIS building up a domestic presence. I can almost guarantee you that in the next hoax, it will come up that we were too soft years ago. We should have went to war with ISIS in Syria a long time ago. We could have kept this battle from coming home. Remember, that's what they used to say at the beginning of the Iraq War that started March 20th, 2003. They'd say, we're fighting them over there so that they don't come here. Do you remember that rhetoric? Over and over. And I just said, my God, people, that doesn't even make sense. If terrorists really want to attack the United States, I'm sure they have the mental power to withdraw from this war over in Iraq and Afghanistan and sneak their way over here through open borders and do whatever they want. It's just that they're leading us on this bullshit narrative, doing our thinking for us, programming us, trying to keep us in constant fear. Anyway, I imagine the narrative in the coming months, years, however long it's going to take, will be that because we didn't fight them over there in Syria, they came here and they did whatever they're going to do. So let's just go back in time. Let's watch this coverage about what Lindsey Graham said. This is right after we backed off war with Syria. Let's just go back and cover it.
Top Republican now in the Senate, one of the staunchest supporters of a military strike on Damascus, sounding the alarm. Lindsey Graham said the following, quote, I believe that if we get Syria wrong within 6 months, and you can quote me on this, there will be a war between Iran and Israel over their nuclear program. My fear is that it won't come to America on top of a missile. It'll come in the belly of a ship in the Charleston or New York harbor, end quote.
All right, so enough of that fear-mongering. Lindsey Graham is a senator in South Carolina who's been there since 2002, part of the post-9/11 agenda, if you're not aware. Notice he said, mark my words, within 6 months. It's been a lot more than 6 months. But it is possible that he is putting out information that he knows is part of the plan for this nation, dropping hints, dropping clues. At this same time that this was happening, Alex Jones on his show was saying that nukes had disappeared in Texas and had been transported to the Carolinas. So there was all this fear-mongering around that time. I was already aware of all the popular fiction about the Carolinas. Anyway, fast forward to 2015. Again, there's a lot of focus here now. The numbers that have been coded in the past are syncing up with the events happening now. Again, this movie about a bomb going off in Charleston Harbor, like Lindsey Graham said might happen, was coded out with the number 106. Just like the recent church shooting, just like the recent Philadelphia train crash. It's possible that they don't have a nuclear bomb in store, but they have something else in store for us. I don't know what their technology capability is, but perhaps they do have enough weapon power to create a major type of explosion and some sort of tragedy like we've seen in the past, or worse yet. all for the purpose of starting another war, as they did on September 11th, 2001. So that's pretty much the extent of the message. I just wanted to connect all this research. I've been trying to put it together since 2013, and now here in 2015, it's all becoming a lot clearer. Thanks in large part to understanding numerology and gematria and how they keep coding with the same numbers over and over. All right, Truth Seeker, until next time.